So currently, I see this article, and it's all about the fact that teen cannabis use decreases as more states legalize. And so I guess that's just like, what if like, yeah, like it's like you can't just like federally legalize it. I guess you can if you have the stores available and ready. So what it would require for the United States to federally legalize cannabis is the availability to industrialize a bunch of stores in the United States of America. That's what it would require. Because without that, we can't federally legalize it. And if we federally legalize it, then it's like then the ease of smoking and then the style of smoking is freed, like alcohol. Like drinking alcohol, it's like, oh, I could have like a big tall brew right now, or I can smoke weed. It'd be like the same thing. And so we desperately need to legalize cannabis so that we can get jobs to pay off school fees. And that's what it requires is it's an industrialization for more jobs. Some people don't even smoke and they'll just be working there for the money and the job. And that's so important because we need to start paying off school fees. And more than pretty much 50% of the population in the United States is in debt after going to college. So the best idea would be to legalize cannabis so that we can pay off these school fees. Other than that, that's the best idea to legalize cannabis is so that you can have just jobs that are considered safe as long as you follow the protocols and are careful with anything you do. So I just hope we can federally legalize cannabis so that we can really try to get these jobs going. And everything about cannabis is very important. That's what I've realized. Like, it's very enthusiastic. I'm very enthusiastic about this because it's not federally legal yet. But once we can industrialize all the stores in every state, including Hawaii, on a industrialized, federally legal 21 plus level, that would be really good. It's not only is it going to fund like a bunch of like school programs, construction, and get rid of the debt. It would get rid of all of our debt. It would help to get rid of debt in the United States of America. It would free the prison population from cannabis users, and because it costs more money to jail a cannabis user pretty much than it is to jail actual real offenders. So they shouldn't be in cannabis users should not even be in there because it's harmless. Because it's not that it's harmless, it's actually beneficial. It's actually medicinal. And so to have people go to jail for DWIs that involve cannabis, people going to jail for cannabis trafficking, like the whole aspect of it is very sketchy because it's illegal. It's federally illegal unless you get your medical cannabis card and you need a medical condition. But the fact is that there are states that don't have medical cannabis, and people are dying in those states. People are dying in all of these states that can use medical cannabis. And the most important part is that it's a medicine. Not only is it going to create jobs and like fund a bunch of like school and state and federal jobs and like services, it's going to be it's the best medicine in the world. It's why is it such a good medicine? Because George Washington brought it from Spain and England and also the hemp plant as well. So all of these medicines need to be industrialized and manufactured on a mass scale for the mass public that are 21 and over. Because the fact is that cigarettes cause cancer, and you're able to buy it at 18, at an age of 18, and to have something very beneficial like cannabis, which is a medicine, be legalized on an industrial level, on a mass scale, it's like one of the best things you could ever offer to the human populace. I hope they don't put GMO in it, and so we would have to ban GMO and Monsanto again. Back to the root. It's in alcohol, it's in food, it's in drinks, it's in alcohol again, it's in cannabis. It's even in some tampons. Some of the components in GMO and Monsanto, glyphosate, it's in tampons, and so we need to get rid of Monsanto and GMO, and so that all of these companies and industries can be free of cancer-causing carcinogens and diabetes and obesity causing molecular compounds. That's what is in GMO and Monsanto's stuff. So that's what their company offers. And so we don't want to genetically modify our DNA, because I'm trying to create a spaceship that is like a replica of human Earth and all the interdimensions of the human existence. So it's pretty much like a replica of the human soul. So the soul is now obviously pretty clear and plain to see that the soul is an extension of the human body, and the body is an extension of the soul. And so if we can interdimensionally travel consciously as a spirit, then eventually our molecular compounds of our body and our DNA would shift and change to a more light kind of consciousness. That's if we can industrialize the New World Order. But other than that, I will focus mainly back on this topic, and that is that without cannabis, the beneficiary aspect of being a human being on Earth is not there. We need to legalize cannabis immediately, because not only does it cure cancer, it's an overall generic medicine that the doctors are not really able to delve into because it's federally illegal. And so it's a shame to see many doctors that are good doctors not able to cure people, and knowing that regular common day citizen stoners are able to cure people with cancer and actually cure it to the fullest degree without destroying healthy cells. It's a shame. It's scary knowing that that is the case, because of the law. And so we need to federally legalize this cannabis. And the thing is that you can't federally legalize it until more states legalize it. So that means we're gonna have to legalize cannabis state by state until the scale reaches 50.01%. And then that's how Obama said it. So that is how we would federally legalize cannabis. So it's all up to the colleges to try to. This is how you do it. You get colleges to start to want to legalize cannabis, and then if the education department realizes that we need it for jobs, then the whole United States would realize, all right, it's time for an educational cannabis meeting. Not really a protest, but a meeting, a place, a building where you can have a meeting to legalize cannabis. It also requires you to petition the White House to legalize cannabis. But Obama set it up so that we can only legalize cannabis. Well, not only, but the best, most proper way to legalize cannabis would be to ask your education department, your colleges, to legalize cannabis. Because the fact is that if you're a college student in mass numbers with multiple colleges all asking for the same thing, and that's jobs to pay off their school fees, then that is how you would legalize cannabis. Because it makes sense. And not only they'd be like, well, then everyone's gonna get stoned. The fact is that they don't know that it's a medicine that heals everything. Not it cures all diseases. So people aren't getting stoned. People are getting medicated. People are finding out that they can like lose the clutter of the world and just be like free for that moment when you're smoking, and then the violence would cease. So I hope that the best thing we could do is legalize cannabis for the sake of humanity. And so every country would need to prep some sort of like business like company to legalize cannabis. And that would we obviously have one in the US. There's multiple companies in the US actually. And to industrialize this on a federal level, like I think people have been waiting to since the 1970s. So the second they start the moment you see cannabis become federally legal, that means that every state has already prepped their industrial their state as a to join with the country to federally legalize cannabis. And so now it's time to wake up to that idea that every state would need to legalize it as a state before we could federally legalize it. It needs to reach that 50.1% scale of the majority of the U.S. having legalized cannabis than the rest of the U.S. not having legalized cannabis. And once it reaches like 26, 27 states, then federal legalization can be considered. So that requires a lot of states to legalize cannabis, and the only way to do that is for the education department to say, hey, we need jobs, we need money, we need to pay off these school fines. So that's how we would legalize cannabis.